Okay, so how many times have we all been there, right? Where you open up spreadsheet and it's just kind of like, ooh, do I have to?
Like the digital ages version of homework nobody wants.
Totally. We are just drowning in data these days, no matter what you do.
I feel that.
But what if I told you there's a way to make that data not just bearable, but actually, like, interesting?
Well, the good news is it doesn't involve, like becoming some kind of data wizard.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's really about tapping into something that we're all hardwired for, and that's stories.
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
Huh?
Because it's so true. Think about it. We can all remember the details of a really good story way better than, like, the fifth bullet point on a presentation slide.
Right. And there's actual science behind this.
Yeah.
They did this study, and people were something like 22 times better at remembering information when it was given to them as a story. And it's not just about remembering it more. It's about actually getting your point across in a way that sticks.
22 times. Okay, now you're speaking my language. So how do we actually do this? Is data storytelling like this magical skill that only certain people have?
Not even close. Picture this.
Yeah.
You've got all these raw ingredients, right? Like your data points, all your numbers. Think of them like flour, sugar, eggs, just waiting to be baked into something amazing.
Okay, I'm with you.
Data storytelling is taking those ingredients and crafting them into a story that people actually want to hear.
I'm liking this baking analogy. What's our recipe for a good data story then?
The first thing is you have to set the scene. Like imagine you're reading a book. You don't just jump into the middle of all the action, right? There's an intro, a setting characters. Data's the same.
You got to give people a reason to care, to be invested in what happens.
Exactly. So let's say you're looking at something like website traffic. Maybe there's been a dip in a certain group of people visiting your site. Now you could just throw that number up and be like, well, we got a problem. Or you could frame it as a mystery, like we've got this puzzle to solve. Why aren't these people as interested anymore? And how do we win them back? All of a sudden, you've got people's attention. You've given them a reason to care about those numbers.
It's like you've turned a boring report into an episode of CSI
There you go.
websites.
There.
I'm here for it.
Okay, so we've set the scene. We've got everybody on the edge of their seats. What's next? Well, every good story needs some drama, right?
Ooh, the plot thickens.
That's where your big findings come in. Those aha moments that make the story really interesting.
So how do you actually bring the drama? Is it all about finding the right chart or graph? Because I always get those mixed up.
Visuals are huge. It's not as simple as just throwing a chart on there, though. You got to think about it. Want to show a really stark difference between two things. Bam. Hit them with a bar chart. Trying to show how different parts make up the whole picture. Pie chart is your friend. The thing is, every visual tells a different type of story. So choose wisely.
I think that's what I love about this. It's not just about the data itself. It's about being intentional, thinking about what visual is really going to pack the biggest punch. It's like design thinking, but for data.
Nailed it. And don't be afraid to think outside the box. It's not just about bar charts and pie charts. Think infographics, timelines, even maps, anything that helps you tell that story clearly.
Okay, so we've set the scene. We've got the drama. We've got some amazing visuals. What's the final ingredient in our masterpiece data story?
The grand finale. The call to action. What do you actually want your audience to do with this information?
Right.
Every story needs that sense of closure. And in the data world, closure is taking action.
So it's like we've laid the groundwork, we've built the suspense, now we need our characters to actually do something right.
Exactly.
I get how this is powerful stuff, but it still feels kind of theoretical. Can you give me like a real-world example? How would this work in, say, a marketing meeting?
Okay, so let's say you're presenting the results of this big campaign you just ran. Now, you could stand up there and just start listing off numbers like, our click-through rate went up 5%, conversions were at 12%, and our cost per acquisition dropped by.
And just like that, I'm already asleep.
Right. You're going to lose people in like 5 seconds. But what if instead of that, you actually told them a story? Like you could say, we really wanted to connect with this younger demographic, so we tried this new approach on social media. We learned that they really respond to those short videos, which led to a huge 300% increase in engagement. So based on that, we're thinking we should put more of our budget towards video content moving forward.
Okay, see, now that's a story, and you got those numbers in there without me even realizing it.
See, the data's still there. It's just woven into something that people actually want to listen to and understand and actually do something with.
So it's not about making data pretty, it's about making it mean something.
100%. And this goes way beyond just marketing. Let's say you're in product development. You could tell your team, hey, our user testing showed a 10% increase in engagement with that new feature.
Yeah.
But how much more powerful would it be to say, remember how everyone was saying the old design was kind of clunky? Well, we listened to that feedback and totally revamped the interface. And get this, people are now spending 10% more time actually using the feature instead of just clicking around lost.
Oh, I see what you mean. In that first version, 10% is just like a number floating out there. But in the second version, it's connected to something real. You solved a problem. You made things better.
Exactly. That's the kind of storytelling that gets everyone on board, whether you're trying to get funding or just get everyone excited about the same goal. It takes those cold, hard facts and turns them into a reason to take action.
This is seriously making me rethink how I look at data in general, like in my own life, too.
And that's what's so cool about it. It's not just for work, it's for everything.
Okay, so for our listeners who are ready to become master data storytellers, where do they even start?
Start with picking one data point you're dealing with right now. Doesn't matter what it is, from work, hobbies, anything.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, now here's your challenge.
Challenge accepted. I've got my data point locked and loaded. What's next?
Okay, so now ask yourself this. What's the story behind this number? What's the context? What's the conflict? What's the resolution?
Yeah.
So let's say you're trying to be healthier, right? Like you're tracking how many calories you're eating. Now, instead of just seeing all these numbers in an app, think of it like this. This week, I was really tempted to go crazy with those amazing pastries at that bakery down the street. That's your conflict, right? But I was strong and packed my own healthy lunch instead. There's your action, your moment of victory. And because of that, I ended the week right on track with my calorie goal. Resolution. See? Data storytelling even works with something as basic as calorie counting.
Wow, you just blew my mind because I never thought about it like that. But it's so true. It's like we're all telling ourselves stories all the time without even realizing it.
Right. We're hardwired for stories.
Yeah.
It's how we make sense of everything around us. And data storytelling is just bringing that same instinct to the numbers in our lives.
This has been such an awesome deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much. So as we wrap things up, is there one final piece of advice you would give to our listeners who are ready to unleash their inner data storyteller?
Don't be afraid to play around with it. There's no one right way to tell a story. The important thing is to find what works for you and who you're talking to. Maybe you're a visual person. Maybe you connect more with stories that have a lot of heart experiment and see what sticks.
I love that. It's all about finding your own voice, your own style when it comes to data.
Exactly. And remember, the more you do it, the easier it'll become to turn those data points into something people actually want to hear.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your wisdom. And to everyone listening, keep experimenting, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep diving deep into the world of data storytelling. We'll catch you next time.